Okay, welcome everyone to the Channel Sales Masterclass. And as you would have seen in some of the posters and other materials we released, this is an opportunity to provide our loyal customers globally, who we work with for 20 years, 6 key performance areas that are the foundational skills to grow your channel sales results and your career aggressively. So what I'm going to do is just give you a quick overview of who we are and what we do, our methodology, and then I'm going to apply it to today's world and how it's impacting us now, and what you need to do going forward as it relates to what many people are calling kind of the new normal. And I think in channel sales, it's going to be the same. There's going to be more remote communications, etc. However, the foundational skills are critical. That's what we're going to do today. Who are we? You can look at our website, www.channelsalesworld.com. But what we do is, for the past 20 years, the company started in Singapore, and I spent half my career as an American IT executive starting up Asia Pacific for American software companies, and then I became the partner for 6 years and recognized that there was a situation there that could be improved. So we started this company. Our target market segments are the 50 largest companies in the world, as you can see, most of the largest companies in the world have done one project with us in one form or the other. We started out by doing channel manager training back in the mid 2000s, when there was this shift to this realization that a channel sales and indirect model can be more effective to provide coverage and scale to IT companies trying to go to market across very vast and diverse markets. So we've done projects with all these people in one form or the other. We originally started by doing channel manager training and built methodology around that. That led into more custom projects, partner recruitment, you name it, and here we are 20 years later. Now, last year, we rebranded the company in the spirit of transformation to Channel Sales World. So we're a global company now. As you can see, we've got representation not only in Singapore, but in San Francisco. We still have our core team, which started back in the day in China, Korea, and Japan, to deliver local language projects across the Asia Pacific region. We are transforming in every way. So all of our IP and our company name has changed from Channel Partners, who we were known for many, many years, to Channel Sales World. And now all of our IP, everything that we do, has been transformed into a very scalable virtual education platform. We leverage video, short videos you can see on our YouTube channel. Go to YouTube, Channel Sales World. You'll see a recent series of channel sales free training classes on the methodology that we're doing right now. You'll see 3-minute videos on each of those. Podcast, webinars, you name it, right? E-learning modules, which we've developed our own methodology. It's called micro e-learning, 15-minute e-learning classes with 5 chapters, 3 minutes each. So that's what we're all about, and that's what we do. As I mentioned myself, you can see me on LinkedIn to save the introduction. This is our life work. This is what we've been doing for 20 years. Half my career is on the vendor side, half on the partner side, and perfect situation where we can help people like you to design effective channel sales strategies. Channel sales is now and will continue to be the primary route to market for many years. The IT industry, to talk to the side a little bit, is what we call economically normal. The IT industry is now 35 years old. So there's downward pressure on price, there's downward pressure on margin, volumes are growing exponentially, no technological differentiation between one product or another, and this is the new normal of the IT industry, which then kind of transformed before the COVID thing into a subscription economy, because that's how the end users want to consume a mature product from a mature industry. So this is not unusual. But here you can see some of the impacts on you, the channel team, and also the impacts on the partner. So from your perspective, there's definitely downward pressure on margin, and you need to recognize that. And no longer are people buying technology for the sake of building IT infrastructure. They're building the solutions now, and your product's probably an ingredient to that. Huge change. Number two, subscription model, right? And you're having to adapt to that. So what's the value proposition? How do you, in a mature IT industry, differentiate your SaaS product from another? And in a mature industry, right now, that's going now towards your ability to differentiate as it relates to the services or the value addition that you offer. So on the left-hand column, you can see that. Impact on your partners. Your partners now need to have absolute market focus down to the account level. 15 years ago, 10 years ago, the partners could just focus on any part of the market because nobody had built out the IT infrastructure. IT was still new. It was still an investment in building something that was required, not building something that drove an ROI. So now your partners need definition down to the account level. You need to change your language from revenue to gross profit. We'll talk more about that later. And you have to make sure that you can define how your partners can make money by attaching services to your product versus any other vendor that they can work with. So let's look at the methodology. The methodology, there's 6 key performance areas. We've been building this for 20 years. The key performance areas only changed 2 to 3 years. Right now, especially in an environment, where we're coming through a crisis, and there's this, how do you maintain customer intimacy in a period of social distancing, right? That's the new normal for your channel sales model. So here's 6 key performance areas that you need to be good at, okay? It's not enough to say, I have a good relationship with such and such at this company or that company. No, right now, that doesn't help you. That's a good relationship, but that's not the only criteria. Right now, you need to be building a strategy for your channel sales model around 6 key performance areas. First one, target market definition. Target market definition is where all channel strategy starts. Because if you don't have a definition of the target markets, where you're going to make money and your partners are going to make money, initially, as we come out of this phase, then it reduces the income which they can then be able to bring into their company, which flows the income which you can then bring into your quarterly pipeline and sales forecasts. So you can see target market definition. Don't think that you wake up every morning and I take my product and I'm going to push it into the market. That's not going to work anymore. It worked 15 years ago. Now you have to look at who are the target market segments that have the highest probability to buy your product, and make sure that you've got partner coverage on that. Make sure they're enabled. Why? Because as you can see, it defines your resource allocation, the ROI for partner investment. You got to quantify the market opportunity. Make an estimation on the market size for your partners so they know if they dedicate 2 salespeople to you, how much money they can make from those 2 salespeople versus any other vendor they can work with. So that's point number 2 here in black, the ROI for partner investment. This is the new normal. Number 3, if you don't define the target markets, how can you expect marketing to help you? There's got to be alignment. Traditionally, there's been misalignment between the sales motion and the marketing motion, targeting different things. Now, got to get aligned. Make sure you communicate to the marketing departments, what are your target market segments down to the account level. 3, 4, business planning, ecosystem alignment, everything happens. Everything that you need going forward, you've got to go now back to the basics and do what they tell us in our marketing classes. Strategy is built backwards from the people that you want to buy your product. That's our first key performance area. All of them intersect with this reality, and you've got to start there. Number two, capacity. Okay, so now you've defined the segments where you and your partners can make money as quickly as possible as we come out of this, right? You don't want to spend any time on any greenfield stuff right now. All you're focused on is the segments where your technology, your product is differentiated, has the maximum return on investment, you got the right partner coverage. That's where we go first. Now, once you get going, second key performance is you've got to build your capacity. So when you build your partner capacity in your partner network, you have two choices. Number one, you can do what we call develop. If you develop your existing partner capacity, you increase the productivity. How? Through enablement. Look at the slide here. We've got a very simple Excel file, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 key performance areas for the partner management, sales, marketing, etc. And you give them a score from 1 to 5. 5's the highest, 1 is the lowest. Now what you can do is you can start to look at your top partners and the extent to which they're enabled, because if they're enabled, they provide capacity. So this is the first part of increasing your capacity. Option number one, develop. Take an existing partner, I do some skill gap, analysis, and try to get them more productive. The second thing to increase your capacity is you can recruit new partners, but recruiting new partners is challenging. Takes a long time. It's just like getting married, right? If you think about it, first you got to find somebody that you're interested in. That's the dating phase. Second, you got to become engaged, right? Get more serious, start having more serious conversations. Number 3, negotiate the contract and get married. Number 4, once you get married, you start to have children maybe, and that's when, you can start to see a return from that investment. And partner recruitment is the same thing. There's no shortcut for trying to build a trusting relationship and then, inform the partner, convince them to sign your contract, go through an enablement process, and then bring the revenue and get to sales. It's a long process. So that's your second choice as it relates to capacity. And we'll talk more about that later. But here you can see what we would advise is to analyze your existing partners in great detail right now. While you have time, see how you can make them more productive. You can see we used a simple table here where, some people have a high score but low contribution. So if somebody's highly enabled but they're not selling a lot, what can we do to fix it? Next, there's some people that have a high score but a low revenue contribution. I'm sorry, a high revenue contribution. And then you got to look at those people and you say, look, if their enablement levels are low, but their contribution percentage is high, God, if we just got them more enabled, we could get more and more revenue. So capacity is a very, very important key point. Key performance area number 3, enablement. You got to have a process, okay? Think about a channel sales model is all about cost transfer, right? You're identifying a company who can resell your product into a segment to the accounts you want that you think they need to buy, and they're doing it on a commission basis. You're not paying them a base salary. So if they're not enabled, then the whole thing breaks down. Key performance area number 3, here's a process. This is a real process from a real client where you need to be prescriptive over 5 different categories about what needs to happen over a 90-day period such that they become almost a franchise of what you do. And you can see here, and I'd be more than happy to send this to you. Feel free to reach out to me. This sample about how you can build your process. Next, once you build the process, that's definitely key and important. But the second thing that's really important, you have to have an owner. Make sure there's an owner to take this process, apply it to your partner network, make sure that they're enabled and up to spec. Number 3, before I get too excited earlier, number 3 is that you need to reward them when they finish the process and they're enabled. reward them, recognize them. It can be financial, it could be recognition, through, award ceremonies at partner conferences or whatever, or newsletters. But those things can be very effective. They're very cheap, and it's very critical because partner enablement, the third key performance area, is critical. Let's look at number 4, how partners make money. Now, 15 years ago, it didn't matter. We never talked about how partners make money. Why? Because the industry, the IT industry, was new. There were very few substitutes for what was being brought to the market in the late 80s and in the 90s especially. So from an economic perspective, if there's no substitutes to these big brands, then their prices are typically high, their margins are very high, the volume of products sold are very low, but they're making so much money, and we, the vendors, were making so much money, we didn't have to talk about and slice hairs on how the partners make money. Today we do. It's a 35-year-old industry. It's mature, and it's one where we have to focus, and our differentiation as a vendor is based on how we are different from a commercial aspect to the partner executives, because partner executives, they recognize that all IT products now are what we call vanilla. They know that. They know that there's a substitute for anything that you have. So what they're looking for is a good deal. And they're looking for somebody that cares about their bottom line. Here's how you do it. You need to understand how they make money. First, sales, net sales. That's what the vendors care about. That's what the channel sales professionals always talk about. Revenue, revenue, revenue. But in actuality, the partners don't care about revenue. That's your target. That's your metric. It's not the partner metric. The partner metric is gross profit. So as you can see here, the revenue is the amount that's sold when a deal is done, right? And that is the purchase order from the end user to the partner. Then the partner needs to buy that product from you, and that's called cost of goods sold, okay, or COGS. So they bring in a $4 million deal. They have to go out and buy $3.6 million worth of technology, and then they'll add value to that through integrated services. But on the product side, what they care about is gross profit. This is the language you got to learn how to speak, because whenever you say revenue to them, they're calculating, okay, this guy's from vendor number 1. I've got 13 other vendors that we work with. What's everybody's margin? Okay, this guy's 14. He wants $1 million in revenue. That'd be 140,000 in GP. Don't allow that to happen. Talk in GP from the very beginning. Tell them, we're going to do $1 million in revenue together at a 15% margin. You're going to make 150K in GP and product, and then we're going to attach high GP services to that. And we're going to make a lot of money together, and that's why you should care about me. So that's the point here on how partners make money and understanding partner profitability. So as you can see, gross profit, this is a language you got to learn, is the difference between the revenue and the cost of goods sold that they pay you in order to buy your product. Next, SG&A, selling and general administrative expenses. What is that? That's what the partner pays in salary to their salespeople, technical people, phone charges, going to your partner conferences, dinners and entertainment. All of that falls into SG&A. And then finally, what's left at the bottom is what's called the operating income or the operating profit. So this is a very simple model to understand how your partners make money, how they view you in that overall entire process, and how you can change the conversation, to start focusing on GP. Now, I speak at a lot of partner conferences, as you might expect. And one best practice that we see is that the best partners in the world today, they don't measure their salespeople just on GP. Because if you measure a salesperson on GP, all they'll do is sell the easiest thing. You got to measure the partners, and the partner executives need to measure their salespeople on what we call blended gross profit. And this is the amount of profit that is made on a weighted average basis of an average transaction. So if you look at a solution stack, there'll be hardware, software, this and that, and services. And what you want to look at is the blended gross profit of that transaction to your partner. You need to know the minimum is $20 or 20% of every $100 in revenue needs to be GP. If your partners aren't making a 20% blended gross profit, you've got a problem. You've got to talk to them about their blended GP. It's important because if you look at this number, you'll realize right away, as a product vendor, you'll say, I don't give them 20 points of margin. I give them 14. So what am I going to do? Well, what you've got to do is you got to make sure that they're attaching services. Because if partners aren't attaching services to the product of yours that they're reselling, at some point in time, they'll stop reselling it because it falls below the benchmark. This is the benchmark. $20 a GP for every $100 in revenue. This is a long conversation. We can talk more about it if you'd like to reach me. Key performance area number 5, planning. All right, it's paperwork, right? No, it's not paperwork anymore. You know why? Because channel sales, an indirect channel model, a cost transfer model, where a vendor like you transfer the cost of selling and supporting their products to another party, that is now the primary route to market in a mature industry. 15 years ago, no, we tried to do it ourselves. You have direct sales teams. We'll open an office here, there, all across China, all across the United States, we'll open offices. Then you started to see them close, especially in tier 2 cities. Why? It's too expensive. You've got to scale through a channel sales model. So for your plan, if that's the primary route to market, if I'm right, I'm pretty sure I'm right on that one. If your primary route to market is an indirect channel, then you got to have a plan. Because if you don't have a plan, you don't have a roadmap to get them from, where they are today to 15% greater, to another 15% greater the next year, etc. So in order to do that, you got to do partner business planning. Forget the 8-page documents, these templates that you see that are multiple pages. Forget it. When I was a partner for 6 years, I want to know 4 things. Number 1, what do you want me to do? Number 2, why do you want me to do it? Number 3, how much money will I make if I do what you say you're going to do? And number 4, what are you going to do to help me achieve that goal that you're asking me to do? In my book, that's a 1-page Word document. Remember, your partners have at least 10 to 15 other vendors they work with. If you give them a long partner business plan, they're never going to read it. Make it 1 page, cover those 4 topics. Make sure, as you can see on the slide, make sure it's focused. Tell me what accounts you want me to sell to. Protect me. Protect me. Tell me where you want coverage. Let me invest my time and resources to do it for you, and I'll do it. If conflict comes up or you can't manage that, the engagement, then I'll work with another vendor. But it's very important that you define very specifically, the plan is very focused on the accounts or the segment solution that you want sold. Secondly, if you want me to grow 15, 20%, you need to be able to tell me what you're going to bring to the table, right? I'm not going to, as a partner, bear all the cost to grow your business for you, which is, and by the way, you have a product just like anybody else. There's nothing different about what you've got, right? There's rare occasions where there's a technology that's very, very different and unique. Right now, it's a mature industry. So if I'm going to do that, you need to tell me what you're going to invest. Because if you're not going to invest, then I'll wait for the other 14 vendors that I work with. I'm going to see what they're going to invest. Point 3, hardest part, QBR. You've got to do regular reviews every 3 months to make sure that if you set a goal 1 year from now, every 90 days, there's a very simple template. This one, I'm thinking a half of a page of a Word document to make sure we have got a couple of review points. This is what we wanted to do, the status of the deals. We finished this enablement, need to do this enablement later. This is the next marketing event, and this is our goal for the end of the quarter. That's what you're going to need. Last key performance area. This is really important in the IT industry before COVID and going forward is that the end users now want to buy everything in what we call a subscription economy. They want to buy it on an as needed basis. So if you're a traditional vendor, been in the market for more than 20 years, the big question for you and what would keep me awake every night is, do I have the right partners and network for the future? Because if my partners haven't transformed and they're looking for traditional on-prem type deals, then these guys aren't going to be able to sell my new emerging technologies that we're releasing. So partner recruitment's got to be scientific. Look at our YouTube channel, okay? Just released this video. It's really important. Not enough time to talk about it all now, but we think you got to be scientific about it. We think there's 3 filters you need to have. Number 1, partners sell to the same clients 88% of the time. Before you recruit a new partner, make sure they're selling to the accounts and the market segment that you're targeting already and have been for many years. Number 2, solution skills. Right? They need to be able to have a team, have some criteria, for what they need to be able to do from a technical perspective in order to sell those clients. Lastly, business profile. How big should the company be? People think about, when they think about capacity, they think, well, how many partners do I have? How many company partners do I have? That's not capacity. Capacity is the number of partner sales reps that have a number for your product and selling your product and measured on your product. So the business profile, sometimes you don't want a big partner because it's hard to get their mind share. Sometimes you may have a business profile for a small partner where this could be a big part of their business. So partner recruitment, very, very important topic, very important going forward as you build your new partner network going forward. Finally, partner transformation. So all I want to say here, this is separate from our methodology, could possibly become a key performance area in the near future, given all the changes that are occurring. We do a lot of partner transformation, CXO type consulting projects where we help companies transform. And when it comes to transformation, especially as it relates to partner recruitment, keep an eye on your partners who are adapting or transforming their business in order to make money in a subscription economy and in a different world going forward in terms of the engagement. Running out of time now, so I'll pass this slide and just finish with this one, which is, key elements. Again, there's a new normal. So luckily as a company, we transformed 1 year ago and we deliver and for you to get your messages, not only to your channel sales professionals, but also to your partner executives. Here's 4 or 5 ideas that you can think about, which we would consider kind of a blended approach, which scales, which can be multilingual. We can use subtitles, etc., to get the messages out, especially while travel restrictions are in place, etc. So first, e-learning. We call it micro e-learning, 15-minute classes, 5 chapters, 3 minutes each. Next, videos. You go to our YouTube channel. We've just released 7 videos for you, the channel sales professionals, on the 6 key performance areas I just talked about. They're 2 to 3 minutes, they're impactful, and you'll learn a lot. In a virtual education world, one-on-one phone consulting is where you take a methodology or a concept and you apply it to their unique situations in the markets they serve. And then, playbooks sometimes are the outcome of training. So, you can take content, put it into a playbook, and then you've got something to follow up with. But finally, a blended solution is probably what you'll need going forward. So with that in mind, I'll just pause there. Excuse me, I'll try to take everyone off mute here. And if there's anyone that has any questions, you'll have to take yourself off mute, I believe, in order to ask a question. But otherwise, there's a chat room there where you can list any questions you have. So I'll just pause. I hope that was helpful. And if there's anything you'd like to discuss now, we can discuss now, or drop me an email through LinkedIn or a message on LinkedIn, and we can follow up at a later time.